that whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. So hello there everyone, and welcome to this second part of the July's Ascension update, also an energy attunement, which will be assisting our process of writing our life stories or life chapters or life cycles, which are bigger cycles than ever before. And it deals with the completion of many years we have been walking this planet and walking this path of initiation. For those of you who know, you have been on the path of the initiated one and the path towards illumined union specifically, although of course this is beneficial and assisting to everyone, for everyone. So in the first update, we've talked about the magnetization process. And the first thing I want to share before we move into some of the aspects, before the light activations, of what is truly important to first bring ourselves to the alignment with how we actually begin the initiation of the magnetization. So as you can see, I'm recording this today on July 1st, and we have such immense winds that I hope it doesn't really blow my camera away, because it's sitting on my backpack and it's truly intense. And what I felt was, because so many times I've experienced there was a certain weather forecast, and then I tuned into it. I said, I need to go out this way, so that later there will be a change in the weather, or I won't be able to go outside because there's rain. And sometimes when these massive shifts of cosmic cosmic rays are initiated, what happens is there's a totally different weather pattern that maybe it's in the general prediction. So today there was predicted to be cloudy and rainy, and first part of the day was quite foggy, and then it cleared up and intense winds began to blow. I wanted to do yoga outside, but all I could do was just lie outside on the sun and absorb the energy, because this is now becoming, for those of us who are tuned to the light force through our bodies, a very automatically intuitive process. When the body wants to be in the sun, when the sun is, for instance, too strong or too hot, we will feel it, the body will say no. So it's not so much about the hour now, although it is still recommended to not be on the sun at these hours. I'm making a disclaimer here, but I wanted to say it's becoming more of an organic process, a deep inner knowing. So this strong energy started to come in. It was just pouring and pouring. All I could do when that happens was just lie down. And the day before, just when the last day of June, all I could do was, when I came home from my hike, was just sleep. I wanted to watch some videos, but I just fell asleep, and I woke up early in the morning, fell back asleep. So it was really, really intense. What I also want to share with you, sorry, is that I was walking this path here. I was walking this trail, and a few days before I wanted to find strawberries, but the area where I went to, the area where I went to wasn't really, the strawberries weren't growing yet. It was still a little far behind. So today I was walking this spontaneous trail. All of a sudden I found this super loaded area with strawberries, with wild strawberries. I just started picking them up. And as I was picking them up, and to me, strawberries always speak of the juiciness of life, the sweetness of life. So it cannot be predicted. When you go search for it, it doesn't happen, right? Oh, I'm going to find strawberries today. It never happens to me like that. So I was picking them up. It's like my hand was full, and all of a sudden there's these, you always see it in my videos, or sometimes you see it, white butterflies, and they're making circles around me and all of that. But never in my life before has a white butterfly actually landed on me. All the other butterflies have. Okay, so Spirit has shared with me, these are the purest representation of Holy Spirit and the wild life force and the untainted life force. Okay, so when I see them, I always think, oh, Spirit, and I have these shivers in my body. So I remember one day I was specifically telling myself, one day if a white butterfly ever lands on me, I know, I have tears now talking about this, because it's just the truth. Okay, we have these things that come as guidance, and it's not in our mind, it's truly happening. Spirit is sharing a gift with you, and at that time you might see it as random, but it's truly not. So I said to myself, whenever and if a white butterfly ever lands on me, this is when I'll know I'm truly aligned with the embodiment of Holy Spirit and being that vessel and holding the space at that highest level, and I've really embodied it. So what happens is I have this left hand full of wild strawberries. I can barely hold them, you know, I'm still picking them. And white butterfly starts to come closer and closer, making circles, and all of a sudden he lands on my right shoe, on my right foot. And you know, right foot is the lift-off foot. It's the new beginnings. It's like the initiative. You always take the next step forward. It's even in the body, you know, when we define certain issues in the body, the right leg represents that movement forward. So we have issues with that. It's the moving forward vibration that we have to master. And it just stayed there a few seconds and then it left again. And I was like, oh, I nearly froze. I was so happy. And I was just, after I ate the strawberries, I kept walking forward. And just a few meters on, I found this feather, right? And I knew it was a message from spirit. I knew it was that beauty of life force, because I was struggling so so long this year, you know, since the year began, and all this intensity here with the forest just drying up. You still, when you look there, just up above, you will see blank spots of dried up trees, and not just spruce trees, even little tiny bushes of pine trees are starting to dry up. And a lot of it is because of the pollution coming through, you know, these heavy metals that they're constantly spraying us with, and so much toxicity in the air and everywhere. And I was just so bombarded with everything, and I was holding this space of higher light, and still these things happen. And I felt a little miserable because I felt, did I even assist anything? And then all of a sudden I felt like spirit knocking me in my head and saying, you're not responsible for the shift of the whole planet. But you don't see your contribution, okay? You don't see your ability. So this was kind of like a message. You are doing it, and you have aligned with that. So when I talk about it, I feel this emotional wave, and I know it's the truth. And I wanted to share this with you because it was a beautiful message of not just that, right? I ate all those strawberries. I came here exactly on the spot where I sit to record because I wanted you to see those beautiful pine trees in the back, because they're still luscious, right? It's hard to see this nowadays with all the dried up areas. I sit down, I'm setting up my camera, and I see another strawberry in the bush here. It was just one. And I knew the strawberries because it was related to the video, with the video messaging that they are actually wanting to share a message with all of us, that the sweetness of life, we can really anticipate it, right? Especially in the beginning of this month, which is truly a month of divine union and divine love, integration in our whole bodies. And we're still mastering how to feel joy at all times, no matter what the conditions and circumstances in life or the outside reality. So to always come back to the inner reality. So whenever I go trailblazing like this and I find these little things, I feel so good. And fairies are drawing me to these aspects of nature and to these beautiful wildlife expressions, and I'm just so tuned in, and I feel so beautiful. I feel like I'm so loved and supported by nature, and they're giving me these gifts, and you know, something that in the human world is still hard to experience on a constant basis, but in nature it's a constant. So I felt they really are giving us messages like, don't expect. But it's like with the strawberries, you never know when you're going to find them, but when you do, it's like you're overloaded with this and you're just like, oh my God, this is so good. So it's unexpected magic, okay? But in this activation work we're going to do today, which is the second part, which is a more energetic work part of today's message, we're going to try to create this blank slate, because I've talked about becoming the vessels. I've talked about not achieving, but truly honoring and owning that space that we really want to be in, which is that space of clarity and that deep knowing that whatever is, whatever happens, we're good. We are right. We are in the seat of our mastery, because when you have self-mastery, nothing else matters more. This is what is the epiphany of life. So there are moments which will be sweet, like today. There's moments which are weird, like was yesterday. There's moments which are so amazing, which was like Friday, 2 days before, which was again the creative burst I felt just before I've shared the July's message update with you. And it's just these waves. It's constant. And for us to truly tune into that reality at the absolute level of the essence, meaning that when you are at the essence level, you are holding space no matter what. So sometimes you might judge yourself as invaluable or as not able to do things or powerless even. But when you're holding space at the essence level of the absolute clarity and that blank slate, this is when you're always open. And that's what I call the embodiment of Holy Spirit presence or life force, infinite life force of spirit. And this is why I teach about this as tantric life force mastery or orgasmic cultivation mastery, so that we can be in that space of existence. The next thing I want to mention is, because there's still so much confusion, not just in the external world of the 3D matrix, because as you know, there's people living on the matrix and there's people living on the new earth template, which we're creating at the creatrix level. Okay, it's not a matrix, it's a creatrix design. It's within divine plan, and that plan is always held within perfection. So even in the new age circles and in the spiritual groups and movement, I'm still noticing so much confusion. So people are saying this is when the event happens again. Every time there's a new date. Now a date is, I just saw on my YouTube, 31st of July, like the end of this month. And it's always a date, and I want to talk about the repercussions of that. I want to talk about the consequences when information is given in such a way, and why it is dangerous to talk about dates. Because imagine this astral reality, which is a different density than what we call just the physical matter, the physical expression of our being. So this is the attribute or the expression when there's everything is or exists as pure potential, including timelines. Okay, this is not yet this higher celestial reality where things feel more the realms of destiny and the destined realms, or higher realms of divine plan being seen as fixed and yet as always shifting in alignment with where we are and how things are evolving. So from the astral perspective, because many people are tuning in through their own presence and where they are, they're giving different assignments, they're given different dates, they're given different explanations. And when someone says this is when something's supposed to happen, what they're doing is they're actually reinforcing that timeline. There's just one potential, and there's infinite potentialities. Remember what I read you from the book about parallel earths and different versions of it. But what matters most is this physical expression, which we're being anchored on now. And people are saying Earth is not even real, Gaia is a hologram. You know, people are saying all kinds of things. And you are not a master in complete clarity in your sovereign presence until all that is cleared away from your space, until you are pure void, so that spirit can speak through you. Now these lower manifestations of reality, which are not wrong, they just can't hold knowing like spirit does. Okay, and it's something that is an inner attainment, and this is what the white butterfly has given me today, this gift of knowing that I have come to this space finally after so many years of work, you know, integration, doing this initiation after the other, so that I could clear the human vessel of all these expectations, old beliefs, other people's expectations, my own ego expectations, all of that. So when we are reinforcing something that is a partial potentiality and saying this is the absolute, or this is the absolute truth, we're making karmic connections, not just for ourselves, but when we're sharing with others, we're bringing others into that karmic cycle, or something like binding to that expression. So this is something we have to be watchful or really mindful of, okay? Those of you who are truly moving into this space of illumined union, of your inner light quotient growth, which is just that pure knowing of spirit. And if you haven't even begun, you know, just take that first initiatory step. And you can even begin with my own work of sharing in my mastery courses. You can begin with the first initiation, which is aligning with spirit, aligning your presence with the voice, with the presence of spirit. And then you just keep on walking forward if that's what you feel is your path, or either way you do it. But somehow when your path is that of illumined truth, you will be pushed each step of the way. Maybe at a certain point it will feel harder. I'm telling you from my own life's perspective and my own experience. Sometimes it felt like I don't want to be pushed into this, and I was. And I don't live a fantasy, heavenly kind of reality. It might look like that sometimes from the pictures or the videos, but this is not the absolute truth. The absolute truth is in this realm. It's all intertwining. It's a little bit of everything, okay? So the first thing we have to create as a foundation, and this is what we're going to do today in this activation, is create a blank slate. As time passes on, and I also pass on, of course, always in my experience, as I'm going deeper in this illumined union integration process, I will be sharing more. But I advise you to take the Trinity of Life, which is Tantric Life Force Mastery course, Cosmic Union and Ascension course, and also the Cosmic Dance for the Galactic Human. This is the expression of this design when we start to master that physically, where we're initiating a root portal. We're doing things at the level of manifest reality at all levels, right? All three levels, the divine trinity embodied through us. But the first step today we're going to create is what I've talked about, becoming the vessel, creating that blank slate, so that all the experiences, all the expectancies from that are not like this, you know, you have this magical expectancy of something that is your truth and is supposed to align with you, the way your soul from the highest good expression is creating for you. Okay, this is so important. But what people are doing instead, they're trying to propagate or really reinforce a belief that someone receives, and they trust that someone, because someone is always more expert than we are, right? We call all these sorts of people experts. What makes them experts? Well, they've just done the research in a certain area. Doing the research does not necessarily make you a master yet. That's the thing. Masters have gone beyond philosophies and research or science. Masters have moved deep into the level of the esoteric, of metaphysical, of communion with something greater than what you might reference as the presence of tangible and, you know, known forces in life. This is the unknown forces of life, which we feel, and sometimes even for me it's hard to put it into words, but people have shared with me that I do it well, so I hope I do, and I continue to. But the first step is truly unwinding ourselves from these expectations that are not aligned with something that's for the highest good of us. And when it is for us, it's also aligned with the whole. That's the kind of like a paradox, divine paradox here. So when we allow this, what I call the white light of spirit coming through, this spiraling formation, pour through us, it will start to eliminate every false belief we've ever held. The reaction, of course, will always be, oh my gosh, you know, my life is falling apart. My reality is no longer the same. Well, guess what? Check off, which means good, thumbs up. It's a good thing. But as people, we get afraid of it until there's still fear within us, because fear comes from this denial of the mystical. You know, a life being mysterious, us not always knowing what's going to be next, what should unfold. But somehow the feeling level, which is the activated Christ or the cosmic heart, tells us it's good, even though the let's say life circumstances are saying it's bad. But the feeling says, there's just something about it. I know I'm moving in the right direction, even if it's just finding strawberries, you know, and your random trailblazing path, okay? So we're going to do this activation of clearing this debris of all these fixed ideas, even ideals, ideologies, expectations about our own life and the unfolding of the general, the event, and all of that. This was the main theme for this year. The event really started to pour through. Whatever you look at it, it's always there, even if you don't watch YouTube videos, even if you just turn on YouTube, it's there, you know, like a recommended content, whatever. It doesn't matter, but it's really being propagated. And in truth, it doesn't matter what physically occurs. What matters is where you will be at that time in your alignment, and that time is now. Because it's not like something that, you know, it will happen 31st of July and then, you know, you have so many weeks to go there, or days even, you know, to be prepared. Whatever, you have to always be prepared. So that's why your only work is in the moment. That's why stop postponing things at a later time, or people say, I'm now in this busy work phase and I'm gonna maybe create something more spiritual. I've heard that before, that excuse. When I'm a little older, or when I'm more financially stable, that's when I'm gonna move more into the esoterical. And they have like this ideal about themselves. Let me tell you, I had to surrender so many of the things I thought were going to be or become fruitful in a part of my life. And I've talked about the retreats and everything, and the way I've had it in my mind, the way I've held it in my mind for so long, didn't manifest, because Spirit is showing me it will manifest in a different way. Maybe not the way I saw it, maybe not where I saw it, because Spirit told me recently the retreat is not about the place where it's held. It's your essence and what you hold, what you embody. And when people come and they want to join that, they want to join that timeline of that synthesis, of that physical ascension, it's not where it's going to be held. It's not about the location. It's about the space of purity, which will already be aligned with you, because your inner aligns with the physical. You're always magnetizing that, and it has to be done through really trusting Spirit. So when we clear the way out of all, even in our life, we all had cycles, right? We felt something will happen during a cycle and it didn't. And we felt maybe it's the wrong thing for us, and maybe it's the wrong path we were on. No, it's just what occurred prior to it was maybe a setting stone for it, and we don't know what part or where we are now. We don't have to assess it like analytically. We just have to trust. That's the spirit embodiment. Trust that whatever it was a part of our training, because the soul is always like really happy to expand through being initiated through soul training. And volunteer souls, of course, as always, we go through so much training at the soul level and physically, because it's the same. Because once you embody the soul is the physical is the soul. That's how it is. So we want to do this now. We want to release this burden of expectation and move into expectancy, which is the non-rigid or non-projected expectancy, which is simply being open at all times. I've channeled this song, I think a few weeks ago, that talks about this, that any moment something can happen, but you don't know this. That's why every moment you have to live as it is that moment. So let's say you want to meet someone special in your life, or you feel you will. Instead of expecting them to come and fearing where and how and always being like on the guard, on the lookout, which is making you non-natural in the way you behave, it's more like, you have guests and you expect them and they're going to come. How do you act? Like, you already know. So you're physically doing the work, you're preparing, but you're not like moving out of your head, and you're not going crazy on a rampage and losing your mind where and how and getting everything perfectly done. You're just groundedly anchoring and holding space for it and doing the preparatory work that's necessary, which your soul will always show you. Okay, so thank you, wind. It's hard for me to speak that way. I'm really grateful because it brought so much energy shifting and beautiful weather, instead of that prediction. But let's move into the activation part now, okay? I think it's enough talking for a while for now. And I think those of you who are really called, you understand what I'm talking about, and you are ready to simply let all of that go. So let's do it together now. Okay. Invite yourself in a beautiful sacred space, maybe or preferably in nature like I am now, or just in your inward space, or maybe in a space where soft music is playing, something that reminds you of the energy of celestial frequency. Now, attune your presence to the presence that you're not alone, that you are held within a group consciousness, that you are always a part of something much greater than just the self. That the self is important from the perspective of your self-mastery, but is not the only thing that truly exists, and that we are all a part of something much greater. Now, with this knowing in your heart, call in or invoke the beings of light that you feel support your path and you are feeling supported by. All those of the light that serves unity consciousness through divine love expression in the physical and in all realms simultaneously as one. Now move deeply into the seat of your heart, your cosmic Christed heart of one, of unity. And in that heart, there's every desire held that you've ever had, even every emotional experience you've ever gone through, every person you've ever loved, everything that represented love to you as a human. But at the same time, because this is a cosmic heart space, or essence, when you open it up a bit further, so imagine you're now expanding from that physical heart to a greater heart being and presence. Feel multidimensionally all the love that as a being of light you've ever shared and exchanged in this what we call the infinite creation realms, the infinite worlds of creation. And now embrace this love, let it become a part of you, and when you go a little deeper, let it be all of you, let it be simply all you know as the presence of cosmic love in your heart. When you feel that love, when you feel that gentle presence, that nourishment for the soul, that cultivation of love in this now moment. Now pull the presence upwards and focus now on what we would call the crown portal. And from the space, imagine now this opening towards a greater cosmos. You can imagine like a lotus being opened up, a crown of jewels beginning to shine, and this infinite facets of light are starting to call in more light, because when you open towards light, you call in more light, more luminescent presence. Now imagine that in this infinite space of cosmic presence, all this light starts to pour through you, and it's this white light of creation. And as it moves through your crown, it begins to spiral. It starts to gain momentum, and it begins to raise frequency. And you allow it now through your crown to move through your body. And as it does so, it moves through your DNA, through your light DNA, through what makes you you. But in that moment, it also moves through all that you've believed about yourself, all that you thought was you, all the experiences and stories that were a part of what you call the person self. Now imagine this white light now overriding this with the pure presence of Holy Spirit and moving through all these facets of life. And as it does so, it doesn't eliminate them, it brings them together. It brings them closer to what we call unity consciousness. It merges aspects of you into totality, or the whole self. And it creates a synthesis with its spiraling movement. And it moves through every particle of light DNA within you and every cell. And as the cellular matrix of your body begins to respond to that light, it also begins to influence through, as you know, cells communicate on the quantum level, and also what we call the collective consciousness of these cells. So they start to communicate, and as they do so, it affects your physical DNA. It affects every molecule in your body that is being held at the level of the atomic and subatomic particles in your physical structure, which of course is created through your light being and your light DNA. Now take a deep breath in through your crown, and now you have this knowing seated within you. It's in all of you. And with this in-breath, you invite the light. With the out-breath, it comes in as a spiral. And as it does so, it creates this complete rewrite in your body, a space of dissolution, of alchemical transfiguration, of a sacred offering of grace. And as it does so, let us now openly say with pure presence and divine openness in the space. You can also hold your arms wide open, because while doing so, you are opening yourself to receive in compassionate presence of divine grace and communion with Spirit. And now we affirm, O divine light of creation, the pure presence of the divine self and divine spirit of all life in creation, thank you now for entering my space, my sacred temple of grace, and guiding me into this next octave of being and my illumined presence. Thank you for showing me what life truly is and can be at this level of expression and life force momentum building. I now allow myself, your act of grace, be fully rewritten, so that any old belief systems and programs and expectations that are inward and outward based be released, surrender to this next octave of being, and they are replaced with the pure knowing that all is a divine potential of life, manifest and yet not manifest, that both exist simultaneously as one. Dark matter, light matter, all is basically simply an expression of love at different levels of being. Now you might feel your body starting to pulsate as you're opening up to this greater presence, to this dissolution within the light. And you're now maybe feeling to merge your hands at the heart level. And we will say, my beautiful sacred heart, where my essence of the core spirit self can be felt at every level. I thank you and all beings that are part of my journey as one, as our journey, for every experience I've ever had, that I've ever held, and everything I've ever held space for. I'm deeply grateful. I'm deeply humbled by all that has transpired. And through this deep act of humility and grace, I now again open up, and you will feel the expansion of life force moving you towards a greater opening. And you start to pull, imagine pulling downwards, pulling into you as an archetype, a feeling that you are pulling the divine mana, divine juiciness of life into your being. And now again, put your hands merging in the heart and say, I now embrace a fully blank slate, a complete template of my new being, held at the level of illumination and Holy Spirit expression of life through me. I am Holy Spirit expression of life as me. It moves through me and it becomes a living expression of life force known as the new me, the new self. I now open up to embracing new potentialities of life, experiences I've never had, and therefore I move beyond the ancestral path of patterns that are being constantly recycled within my DNA. And I no longer need to live a life of my ancestors. And I am ready to complete the path of personal healing so that I can move on to a greater path of inner transformation and service to all life and creation. I'm now open to simply anything and everything that fulfills me in this next level of embodiment. Therefore, I also know that I need to surrender everything I no longer am. And I ask to be held and supported as I transition from what I already was and no longer am to what I am yet becoming and embodying at this new juncture of my path. Now open your hands out wide, almost like you are ready to fully merge with life, to trust that life offers to you, that brings to you all the necessary components that are feeding and nurturing your current soul unfolding. And now as you do so, bring that energy back and feel your heart shining like a star. You feel like an expansion from your inner heart that now begins to almost like shape itself as a star, which is the infinite rippling out of energy. And as it does, it calls energy back as well. So it's like an inner supernova in the heart. You come within yourself, you reverberate back out, and it's like this constant pulsation you are creating. And now again, affirm to yourself, I choose a life that is always anew. I choose life without any convictions, judgments, preconceived notions, belief systems, expectations, even visions that I've held at a particular level that have now changed vibrationally. Because I understand that at the essence level, it all remains. Physically, as I'm shifting, that shifts. And as I open up to that knowing, I allow the highest potential and the highest good come to me and through me as a fully manifest reality of my being. I now also surrender all timelines and beliefs about timelines that I believe need to occur at a specific time, specific date, and in a specific way. And through that, I release all control. And as we're now releasing this control, we're feeling the energy moving deep within our root portal, within our root of the being. And we also see another lotus opening there, like a gentle flower. We might feel or see the color red, deep red, that is now becoming full of life for in any level and aspect of the self where we release control. More life force can come through. With control, we cannot channel life force deeply into our root portal. Control always blocks this experience to be experienced in a harmonious way in alignment with all the three main portals in the body. And again, we affirm, I now release all control about my life, my personal reality, all the people that I feel are associated and connected to me, through me physically and at the soul level, all connections that I hold, and all beliefs about the collective reality, planetary reality, solar system reality, stellar reality, galactic reality. I surrender my way so that it can be an embodiment, an expression of the way that always serves all beings simultaneously as one. And as a human, I don't always know that level of devotion to the whole. So therefore, by surrendering to that level of devotion in my being and my present awareness, I automatically open up to a space of not knowing what's best, but embodying the best in each moment. For myself, so that I can serve myself before I serve the whole, because giving to others is not the same as serving others in mutual energy, reciprocation, and exchange. And we come back to the heart. From the root, we come back to the heart, and we affirm, all my sharing, all my expression of life is safe, is protected, and is well nourished. And as I take care of myself through being this vessel of spirit, I am taken care of. And therefore I can nourish life through my own self-care and self-love and compassionate state of being. Therefore, all that encounter my presence are also nourished without me needing to attend to something or someone specifically. For I trust that the Spirit and its infinite life force are already nourishing all through me at the higher level than I can imagine possible. Therefore, I surrender also the way I think I need to serve, be, act, engage with others, and so on and so forth, because I no longer hold the belief about being needed in a particular way. That doesn't nourish me. And now we come back to the root. Feel the energy once again descending to the root. And when you are held at the root level, the heart and the crown merging with the root at all levels of being, you now feel completely supported on your divine path as a human being. You've released all expectation of what needs to occur for you to be at that level of embodiment, for you are in any moment already held through your self-mastery process and wisdom of awareness. And at the root level, you now feel that just being present, just being fully embodied is a gift to life, is a gift to others, is a way of serving life. Your full presence and embodiment in this human vessel is the highest form of divine service. And now you affirm through your root, imagine being deeply seated into that awareness, I am my own highest temple of divine light. Through my highest temple held in the body, I serve all life in creation. I do not need to specify. I do not need to give a particular value or to gift life in a certain way, for life is gifting itself through me as light passes through me, as light moves through me. As I simply dedicate myself to expansion of life through me, through self-mastery as a part of the life force mastery process, I am contained, I am fully present, and I'm well aware of my impact on the planet, not through ego, but that solid detachment. And as I grow inwardly, I also expand outwardly, for it is one presence. Now imagine all these levels merging vertically, horizontally. So your crown, your heart, and the root portal are unified as one. And affirm, I am fully liberated, free, and open to a new cycle of creation. I am birthing a new era. We are birthing a new era of higher consciousness as it moves through human bodies in this form, in this day and age now. We are the ones that have no specific request for what should happen. We are not impatient. We are not demanding of divine source to materialize life in a certain way. We're simply vessels for higher intelligence of life to move through as it is desired at each particular moment for the fulfillment of the whole. For when we realize we are part of the whole, our will no longer wants to play the same role and expands to the level of reaching what we know as divine will, where we can be a container, a vessel for this higher consciousness of light. Now we put our hands in the air like it's a victory. It's not a personal victory, it's a victory of spirit moving through one more human and then one more. And each vessel illuminated this way contributes to the whole in amounts unknown to human present awareness at this time. So come back into your heart, feel gratitude for this process, feel gratitude for all, feel how your inner light journey moves other lives across the planet, near and far, wherever you are, wherever you may be. Like I teach in my mastery course, Divine Trust, trusting spirit, trusting life, where the vertical expression of creation becomes the manifest reality, and always. I thank you for that. I hope you will enjoy, have a beautiful month, and continue practicing this complete openness. So as you do so and you practice complete openness, always being this vessel, a blank slate, for the awareness of spirit to rise through you, you are going to levels beyond human comprehension. You're assisting yourself and others as well. There are always more light activations on my webpage. You can check that out if you are interested. There's just so many, especially DNA for the illumined human is very important here as well, because it's kind of related. And the first light activation I ever recorded, which is light activation for our new life, really becoming anew. This is what a lot of people are experiencing now, totally rewriting everything we've ever thought possible for us and our path, and really starting something new. We really are birthing a new era. So thank you for that. Check out my things and services so you can help to support my work, as well as donating. Everyone gets a free Oracle of Illumination who donates as an expression of gratitude. And check out my new service as well, which are the Ascension grids, Merkaba formation. So thank you so much. As always, with so much love, wisdom, and power, great divine clarity, divine neutrality, the presence of Elohim consciousness moving life through us. Deep gratitude for all of us here where we are now. Deep gratitude for Gaia, for infinite life force of spirit. Thank you. Stay safe. Bye. So welcome to this extra that aligns with this video. I want to do something different today. I want to offer you a mini reading because recently I got this beautiful oracle which deeply resonates with me, and I also use it in my Ascension readings, just as well as some other beautiful spirit and light worker cards. So this is from Rebecca Campbell. It is called Work Your Light Oracle Cards, and I'm really zooming this in. These are beautiful cards. These are cards that serve as doorways towards the inner realms, so that we can have a better understanding of what's taking place. And I've always wanted to do more readings, and I hope I can do that more in the fall season to come, especially in subscription program through Patreon. I don't know, we will see. But today I really felt called to pull a few cards from this deck, and I've already did the shuffling, so you can see the deck looks a little bit like this. And I have chosen 3 cards, and actually they really align with our reading. So we have first, we have the transformation card. Things are changing at a cellular level, deep healing. Okay, so now I want you to place your focus on this card. And as much as people read cards through giving a lot of explanation that's very specific, I'm more aligned towards really, you know, trusting the cards to serve you at the level where you are, to have your own understanding of what it means for you personally. So when you look into this image, what is this telling you? I will show you the cards separately and then all together, and I will channel a short message for us. So this is the first card. The second card is Unbound. And this is about releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. This is exactly what I was talking about. It's like this deep shedding, not just of this lifetime, of many lifetimes and the ancestral stories. And it's like we're being lifted off with each level or layer of release. And the eclipse season is really serving this process. So what has come to mind for you when you look at this image? You can also see a full moon here. This will be the second eclipse. Should be a full moon, lunar one, towards the end of July. And I will show you the third card. which is exactly what I was talking about. Break the chain. I've been getting this card a lot. Ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. Rewriting the future is basically happening from the space of now, as you know, which means that as this being in the card, as you're standing at a precipice of something new, we have exited this hole, right? And each time we were a different person, and now we're coming towards this stage of life where we're just standing here. It looks like we're getting closer to the edge of the cliff where new possibilities will be, you know, presented to us, but we can't see that as we're still kind of like, you know, going through the cave and, you know, adjusting to new life. So it's kind of like everything is a process. Okay, the wind is really strongly blowing still because I've said it's such a day. So as I lay all three cards together, I hope it doesn't really just blow them away somewhere into the distant future. But if it does, either way, it's good. So I'm going to now show you all these three cards together. So we have transformation. Okay, we have unbound. And we have, woo, is really strong. And we have break the chain. Okay. And we ask this wind to kind of stop ruffling. This is like a really, really intense wind today. So we have all these three cards. And maybe I could place stones on them, right? Let's try doing that. Let's try placing stones on the cards. Yeah, these are nature readings, which means it is what it is in each moment. It's like putting together dominoes, and it's all happening in the moment. Nothing is preset or recorded or anything like that. So now we have the third one. Okay, hope this works. Yeah, usually, as you know, the focus is all on me, and I'm not used to, you know, getting the angles together and recording like this. So forgive me for still learning about this process. So we have our cards, right? And as you can see, there's this moving through the levels of transformation, because transformation has many levels. And I feel this first card really reminds us that transformation is a constant process, but also because of these luminescent colors here, it also tells us that what we are creating now at this time, it's happening at the cellular level, which means it's going deeply into the body. This is this deep, what it says here, deep healing, right? It's not just any healing, it's deep healing. And the symptoms of that, or the experiences we are having at this time because of this, might tell us that things are not happening the way they're supposed to happen. But what we're going through is something we've chosen in a way. Imagine something I've shared before. This is many lives coming together at a specific timeline, and it's like we are feeling this as a breaking apart of something, as a dissolution. But the ego, when a person is not illumined enough, or we might say enlightened in their awareness, might interpret that as things falling away and that we're doing something wrong and we're not aligned. So we're constantly trying to repair that, and we're looking for that glue that would somehow hold our experience together. But this is not the right thing to do at this time, because as you see, this third message is breaking the chain, ancestral patterns, and healing, rewriting the future. So we've all gone through many transformations. It wasn't just one. Even here you see many. This is almost like the Three of Cups, but here is experienced more like the cups are not coming together. They first have to fall apart completely so that this joy can be found. And there's a first expression of that here. So when you go through the whole and you become many different persons in one, simply what's left at the end here is pure nothingness, is this pure void. So as much as people might think that transformation is supposed to make you from this person to another person, the true journey of spirit transformation is not even happening at the level of the person. Unbound also means completely liberated. There is a liberation process taking place. So the only way for us to break the chain and to move out of what we might call the ancestral lineage and the ancestral work, which so many souls have been doing, not just in this lifetime, but for many lifetimes, trying to break free from the established, you know, like you go into the body that is an ancestral lineage offered. It's an offering of someone who had another soul story, and it goes back many stories. So what's happening now through this transformation, which is not at the person level, this is at the level where the soul is truly ready to come fully into the body and rewrite all these things, but we have to allow this dissolution to take place if we want to come together as a fully structured new person. So whenever there is a breaking point, it is actually leading to something coming together, but it's coming together through spirit. It's not coming together through control and us holding it together, holding it down in a way. So we might feel during these eclipses that are happening throughout the whole summer, much is being shedded, and we're thinking, well, we've done the work. Yes, we've done many personal transformations, but what Spirit is showing me, this is not a personal transformation. This is a level of really moving beyond this, because once you do this, once you unbound yourself and you're truly liberated and free, you exit this hole here and you come out as transfigured or transfixed, you know, just looking at what's down below it. You don't even have an imagination of what it might be, because it's something you can't gather together from this place where you still hold onto these identities, and even not just karmic but ancestral in a way. You know, there's many levels of karma. So breaking the chain also means reassembling ourselves in your way. So you see, it's kind of like when you exit the hole of healing, you have to then kind of reassemble yourself step by step, and it is a steady and guided step-by-step process and program just as well. So that's just in a nutshell, really aligning with the message of becoming this vessel and unbound and free, so that we can come together in a new way. So let's say you've had these preferences before you've entered this hole, and this completely transformed you, and it feels like, what's my personality? I used to like this, you know, it's like I used to love the mountain and I want to move towards the sea, or vice versa, or, you know, something similar. It's don't have any judgment that says I'm this kind of person, or I live that way, or this is my lifestyle. When we do this work, you know, here, this will be changed so dramatically that in the end we might not recognize ourselves in terms of our preferences, and we just want to be free and liberated of all these preconceived notions about our path and who we think ourselves to be. So if you recognize for yourself, personal messages included here as well, that's welcome. I really wanted to do this today. As you know, I'm a lover, completely in love with all the oracles because of their beauty and art, the expression of spirit through so many different channels of light. So I gathered many special pieces of oracles throughout many years, you know. And again, this is not a story. This is just something I love to contribute my life to, or enhance my reality with, through this beauty and grace of this art. So I hope this brought some healing and clarity and understanding to you. Don't hold on to any identities. Just allow this time to move through divine grace as it needs to, and let things occur in the beauty of divine order and timing. And as always, so much love, wisdom, and power.